of the areas can never be erased. There is no mitigation or research project that can make their communities whole again, but we can do better. As educators, friends, and allies, together we can acknowledge the mistakes and atrocities of the past and move forward in remembrance and relationship with the local Chumash peoples and other indigenous peoples to facilitate their process of healing by making sure that our processes here make room for their Chumash and indigenous voices to be heard, their traditional ecological knowledge of these territories to be listened to, and their peoples to be a part of the healing of these lands and waters as well as themselves. This acknowledgement, though brief and in no way complete, demonstrates a commitment by this institution and their educators to begin the process of creating a relationship with the local Chumash and indigenous communities and work to dismantle the ongoing legacies of settler colonialism. We come together today to acknowledge, stand up for, and give voice to the unceded lands and waters of the Chumash and all their peoples. Thank you. Once again, thank you for joining us. And again, I just want to send out a lot of love to our Chumash relatives, brothers and sisters, and all indigenous peoples. We thank you for joining us for today's Fall 2020 welcome. Shout out to all the new students here, the new first-year students and first-year transfer students who are joining us. We'll be introducing our staff and going over our programs and resources, and also a big shout out to our continuing students. We'll be sharing some of our updates for fall and some of the changes in how to connect with us. Again, we'll be going over how to connect with us, our cultural resource centers, and just different information about fall 2020 and how important it is to stay connected with each other and EOP. So without further ado, we'll get started, and I'll pass it over to Xiomara Lopez, who's also one of our counselors.
Hi everyone, my name is Xiomara. I'm an EOP counselor and I also coordinate the Chicanx Latinx Cultural Resource Center. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'll be talking a little bit more about how to connect with us. So if we can move on to the next slide, please. One more. Thank you. So our goal is to support you as you transition into the university and throughout your time at UCSB and beyond that. And so to ensure that we can continue to support you, our services are available online. And so the main component of our program is our EOP counseling, and EOP counselors are available to assist you with any academic, career, financial, or personal concerns. We do take a holistic counseling approach, and so what that means is that we take other factors into account, not just academics. You know, we want to check in with you about how you're feeling about your transition. So whether you're feeling homesick or you want to get connected with other departments or student organizations, really we're able to support you with any questions that you may have. And I think that's really one thing that sets us apart as EOP counselors. And so you can start meeting with us right away. You can schedule a virtual counseling appointment with an EOP counselor by visiting our website, which I'll go through in a minute on how to navigate it and make an appointment. You can also call our office and leave a message and we'll call you right back to schedule an appointment. And soon we will be launching on QLess, which means that you can hop on a wait list and then you'll receive a call from one of us. A lot of other departments like financial aid, the College of Letters and Science, they do utilize QLess, and so we will be on that shortly. And so for those of you who may be interested in an ASEOP grant, we do have a partnership with AS Associated Students. And we do have a grant up to $1,000 per year. And so if you're interested in applying, you do have to meet with a counselor. And so again, please feel free to schedule an appointment with us. As far as other than counseling, you can also meet with one of our peer mentors, and our mentors go through an extensive training to be able to assist you with any academic or social concerns that you may have. We realize that sometimes, you may have questions about, for example, what classes to take, or, if you're choosing between professors. I think it's important to also get a student perspective. And so again, peer mentors are available to meet with you, and to meet with them, you can call our front desk to schedule an appointment. In addition to EOP counselors and our peer mentors, we also have campus partners who are designated and set time apart to meet with EOP students. For the College of Letters and Science, we usually have Miguel, Jack, and Paula. If y'all can introduce yourselves in the chat, they have designated times and dates to meet with EOP students. For the College of Engineering, we have Sharik. So if you'd like to introduce yourself as well. And then for Career Services, we usually have Joanne, who meets with our EOP students. And so to make an appointment with a campus partner, you can also access that on our website. Thank you. And so I'll go over how to make an appointment with us really quickly on our website. And so our website is eop.sa.ucsb.edu. And so if you click on our staff page, you will see a list of our counselors and our staff. You could read a little bit more about us and where we come from, what we specialize in. And then if you scroll all the way to the bottom, that's where you can make an appointment with the campus partner from the College of Letters and Science, the College of Engineering, or Career Services. In addition to our counseling, we also do coordinate various academic, cultural, and social events each quarter. And again, for fall quarter, those will be held virtually. And so to learn more about our upcoming events, please add us on Shoreline if you haven't already. We will also be posting our events on our website and on our social media accounts. So we invite you to add us on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, so you can learn a little bit more about our events and connect with our staff, our students, and other EOP students. I just really want to emphasize, the importance of connecting with us. It's not mandatory to meet with us, but we do encourage you to make the connection, because I think now more than ever in a pandemic, it's important that you ask questions and that you create your support system at UCSB. You don't have to do this alone. We're here to support you and validate your experiences. We're all first generation. We know what it's like to navigate these institutions. And so please feel free to connect with us. And so I will go ahead and pass it on to my colleague, Ashkan, who will talk a little bit more about cultural programming.
Thank you, Xiomara. And yes, as Xiomara said, I'm going to be introducing the Cultural Resource Centers in El Centro. Our Cultural Resource Centers, which include the African Diasporic Cultural Resource Center, the American Indian Cultural Resource Center, Asian Resource Center, Chicanx Latinx Resource Center, the Middle Eastern Resource Center, and in addition to that, El Centro. All of our Cultural Resource Centers and El Centro are physical spaces on campus that are dedicated to the visibility and representation of the diverse cultural communities on our campus. And now, as stated earlier, all of our programming for the fall is going to be on a virtual platform. So even though these spaces aren't going to be utilized as hubs for student meetings and cultural programming as they once were, we will be transitioning that to a virtual platform. Each of our cultural resource centers and El Centro are all staffed with teams that are dedicated to providing services and targeted outreach to our EOP students and for student leaders of the diverse cultural communities at our campus. Some of the programming that we collaborate with our student leaders on, just to give a sense of some of the cultural programming that runs out of our cultural resource centers, includes of course, the upcoming virtual open house that all of the cultural resource centers will have during week 3. Keep an eye out for that on Shoreline to participate and get to know some of our campus communities and our affiliates across campus and faculty. So that's week 3, the Cultural Resource Center open house. But also beyond that, there's our usual flagship programming, like the cultural celebrations like Harvest Dinner and Black Family Weekend, Celebración de la Familia, and Dia de los Muertos. And usually throughout the year, there's beyond the fall, there's also some flagship programming that runs out of the Middle Eastern Resource Center and the Asian Resource Center, which includes the Lunar New Year and the Bazaar as part of the Middle East Culture Week in the spring. And Lunar New Year is usually in the winter. So please keep an eye out for all of these programming taking place throughout the year, likely going to all be virtual for the foreseeable future, but definitely for the fall, everything is going to be on a virtual platform. And I want to definitely encourage you to go to our website if you would like to find out more about each of the Cultural Resource Center's teams and more about El Centro and some of the student organizations that are running out of there, and to contact the CRC coordinators, counselors, if you would like to find out more about how to get involved and connected across the CRCs and their member communities. So without further ado, I want to pass the torch on to my colleague, Angelica Caudillo, to introduce transfer, student services, and Resval Life.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Angelica Caudillo, short as Angie, and I am an EOP counselor. I've been with EOP for approximately almost 5 years, and I love what I do. I love being a counselor. It's my family. I would like to say my second family, and I love going to work and meeting with you all because I learn a lot from you all too. I'm going to talk a little bit about Res Hall and transfer, but before I do that, I would like to give a minute or so for some of our campus partners to introduce themselves. They're part of our EOP family, and they're also very, very happy to not only serve you, but also be part of EOP as they come to our offices pretty often to do some drop-in hours. So if I can have our LNS folks introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Miguel Moran Lanier. I'm one of the 4 academic advisors in the College of Letters and Science. And we are there, normally we would be there every Tuesday afternoon and Friday morning to meet with EOP students. So those times are reserved just for EOP students. You can call the general EOP number during those times to see us, or you can just drop in during those times, and we'd be happy to see you. And we have at least a couple more of advisors from LNS. If you could introduce yourselves.
Good morning, my name is Paula Bautista. I'm also an advisor in the College of Letters and Science. And when I was an undergrad at UCSB, I was in the EOP program.
Hi, and I'm Esther Kim. I am also one of the advisors at LNS who work with EOP. So nice to meet y'all.
We also have Jack Rivas, who I don't think he was able to join us today.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for being here. I'll continue with a little bit more of our program. So Res Hall programming, we have Res Hall mentors. I am very lucky to be supervisor to all of them. We have 5 mentors, and we also have some transfer mentors, and I'll talk a little bit more on that on the next slide. It's a group of students who not only allow you all to come in during their drop-in hours, which will be advertised through Shoreline, but they will also be kind of a resource for you for different items, for different events. Many times that they put on the events themselves and present. They do a lot of outreach, so usually we would be going out to the resident halls or the apartments. Now that we are remote, we are doing a lot of this remotely, but they are still here to help out, and a lot of their events will be on Shoreline. These are some of the events that we have had in the past, and some of the events that we want to have this year. The Stress for Success, navigating or getting the gold, talking more about tips and tricks about registering for courses. And most of the time we have one of our LNS or two of our LNS advisors actually join us for this event. And then, so usually we would have 5 and 2. They work together, like I said, so we will also have somebody who is working with our transfer mentors, and we have 2 transfer mentors who help us with that. Can we move on to the next one, please? Okay, so transfer student services. So myself and Mr. Jones do a little bit, do more of the transfer work, but all of the counselors are able to work with our transfers or to incoming freshmen. But we do design certain workshops for our transfer population. We work very closely with the Transfer Student Center, and with the Transfer Student Center, these are some of the events that we have. One of the ones that I would like to talk about is the dining with faculty. We will be doing it this year. In the fall, we are only having 1 faculty member. This is an older soon. And during this event, we will be providing dinner or a grocery voucher or a maybe Grubhub. We still haven't decided on to not only 5 students, but to a professor, and having a Zoom meeting with the professor. This is the very first time we're going to pilot this program, doing it remotely. So we really hope that we have students who are willing to not only commit to the 3 dinners, but is able to take advantage of this awesome opportunity. Then we also have one of the other one that is very popular is Coffee and Community, which I do with the Transfer Student Center. And then we have a weekly meeting. This quarter, I believe, is going to be on Thursday mornings, and we will be sending out flyers for that as well. And we have an hour of just open space for students to come and talk about what are the challenges, how is it transitioning from maybe a community college to a 4-year university, maybe the writing, what is academically, how is it, or socially, different aspects of your transition to UCSB. So we do talk about that. Myself and peer mentor will be there, and then we have the Transfer Student Center. Usually we'll have at least 2 staff members there as well. We do outreach, and we do collaborate with Onda Student Center as well, and they have something called Table Talk, which is dining with faculty, but for first gen, and it's open to all more than just transfer students. And we will also be piloting this remotely for this academic year, or for this quarter. Thank you. Then we're gonna, yes, and then we have more collaboration. So I like to always tell students, our EOP cannot do the work that we do without our students, mentors, and then without our partners on campus. Just like you all saw, LNS is here, but we also have really good relationships and working relationships and collaborative relationships with CAPS. We have a couple of different communities where they meet weekly, or they might have an event where we work with CAPS with workshops, and making sure that we provide not only a space for you all to talk, but a space for you all to connect with somebody from CAPS. CAPS is the Counseling and Psychological Services. And not only with them, but also with Ondas, Transfer Student Center, and multiple other campus partners on campus. And I will hand this over to our director, who has a couple words for us. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Fortunately for y'all, I have more than just a couple of words, but thank you, Angie, for that introduction, and thank you all for being here, our campus partners for continuing to be here to support EOP and support our students. Again, my name is Aaron Jones. I currently serve as the director of the Education Opportunity Program. Also serving as the interim director of the Multicultural Center as they go about a search for a new director. I just want to take a few moments just to congratulate you and welcome you. Congratulate those of you who are first year incoming frosh or transfer students. Welcome you here. Welcome those of you who are continuing students back to what none of us saw last year, which would be the fall quarter 2020. But nonetheless, we are here. We've made it, and we continue to persevere and push forward. I am originally from San Francisco, but I came to UC Santa Barbara as an undergraduate student in the early 90s. I was an EOP student. I was an EOP peer mentor. So as you've heard said already, and it should be clear, there are many of us who have had a long affiliation with the Educational Opportunity Program, whether at UCSB or otherwise. And that just speaks to the nature of our work, that speaks to us regarding ourselves and really thinking of ourselves as a family. And I do not want to underscore or overstate that. We truly do consider ourselves a family. We consider yourselves your family. We are a resource to you all in ways that perhaps may not even be readily apparent, either through this presentation or through the ways in which you are engaging with us. Just know that we, you know, as the saying goes, we got your back. I was thinking about what to say today in just a few moments of your, and taking a few moments of your time. I really have just kind of been stuck, to be quite honest with you. To say these are unprecedented times would be the understatement of the year, or of the decade, or perhaps even of the century. What's going on right now, just to call it, is madness in so many ways. However, it's in these really challenging times, and for those of you who are students of history, you will see this. It's in these times where we can actually demonstrate and show our best. I was talking to a colleague of mine in the community, you know, about this moment and about the upcoming civic responsibility that most, if not all of us, have in terms of exercising our right to vote. And without getting into a political stance about it, I was telling my friend, I'm just reminded of that scene in Black Panther. You know, the first one when T'Challa's throne is being challenged by the brothers, you know, from the mountains, right? And he's getting whooped, right? And then his mother says, "Show them who you are," right? And I feel like we are in that moment. Like we are Mother Earth, Gaia, if you will, is hollering to us. The indigenous peoples are screaming at us, are imploring us, show the world who we are. We are the ones that have to make a difference in this world. We are the ones that have the responsibility and the challenge and even the blessing to be able to forge and create a new path, something that has never been seen before. And it is the blessing that we have as staff in EOP, as staff on campus, to be able to work with you, because you have something in you that nobody, each and every one of you has something in you that nobody else has. And it is a piece of the puzzle that will make this thing, that will create a new image, a new world for all of us. You must believe that. You not only deserve to be here, you've worked so very hard to be here. So that's another thing that you often hear us say, because imposter syndrome is real. And so, but just know there are always doubts and there are always challenges, but know that you have earned a right to be at this world-class institution, this institution that is striving to be better. And this institution will not be and has not been anything like it is if it weren't for the contributions of people just like yourselves, of people who have come from the very same communities that you've come from, people who are thinking about the world in the very same ways that you are thinking about the world. This is a very critical moment, and that goes without saying. But just know that we know that, you know, together we're going to get through this. When I sometimes ride my bike, I haven't been riding it a lot lately as I tap my belly, and I need to. We all need to move, right? But sometimes when I'm riding my bicycle, some of you perhaps can identify with this, and I'm approaching a really steep hill. I've learned, at least for myself, that if I'm looking to the top of that hill, I'm going to psych myself out. It's going to be, then that mental negative self-talk is going to kick in. And I'm like, how am I going to make it up there? It's like the little engine that could, you know, like, how am I going to make it up there? So I don't even look up there. You know what I do? I look 3 feet in front of me and I just get there. And then I look 3 feet in front of me again. and 3 feet in front of me again. And I keep doing that over and over, because looking at trying to find the end to all this is, it doesn't serve us, right? But what serves us is being present and being in the moment and thinking about, what do I need to do to be fully present just to get to the next step? And arguably, things are so challenging right now that maybe that's just what we need to focus on. Just get to the next step, and just get to the next step. And at one point in time, we're going to get to a point where we've made it to the top. So I'm saying that to you just as a personal reflection, to not allow ourselves to get caught up in our own mental traps about, I don't know how we're going to get through this. I don't know how I'm going to get to graduation. I don't know how I'm going to get through calculus, or whatever the case may be. We got your back. And we are here to help you in ways that have been described that are holistic. It's not just about your academics, it's about your whole existence and being with us in the UCSB community. And I'm going to give you another quick anecdote in terms of the creativity and the things that you bring to this community that no one else can bring. Prior to working for the Educational Opportunity Program, I worked for the Associated Students, and I advised the AS Senate. And this was maybe 10, 12 years ago, and some people on this call will remember this. But during one fall quarter, along the Pardall corridor, for those of you who haven't come to campus, you'll understand that it's the main thoroughfare that goes from campus into Isla Vista. Literally thousands of people going back and forth every day. And it's a big wide sidewalk. But in this main corridor, and one fall quarter, there were like 10 accidents between skateboarders and people who were permanently or temporarily disabled. And so the director of the Disabled Students Program at the time, who was still Gary White, went to the administration and said, we can't have this. Something's got to change. You know, we're actually violating federal law by not doing something to address this issue. So the administration, not current administration, or current administrators, I'd say, at the time, came up with the brilliant idea, well, we'll just have to ban skateboarding on campus. And they said it during the Senate meeting, and people who otherwise not engaged perked up. Like, wait a minute, you can't do that. It's so much very a part of the culture of this campus. It's, you know, how are you going to ban skateboarding? It's a picturesque, it's the perfect environment to skateboard. It's the campus is flat, and a big conversation ensued until one student said, well, I don't understand. If you can make a designated lane for bicycles, why don't you make a designated lane for skateboarders? Brilliant. And all it took, for those of you who've been on the campus, you know this, all it took was painting a yellow line on the sidewalk to designate skateboarders and pedestrians. And the number of accidents with disabled students went to 0. So when I'm saying this to you, and I say this all the time, it's things like that. Like, people over 30 would have never thought that. Never in their right minds have thought that. But it's the creativity that you can bring. It's the ways of thinking about the world that you bring that is going to not only make our campus a better place, but it's going to make the world a better place. And know this for certain, you're coming into a campus community that has a long, rich history of students just like yourselves doing just that. The very fact that EOP exists is because of students just like yourselves who in 1966 demanded that the university do something to help underserved and underrepresented communities and peoples who have been historically denied access to higher education. The very reason that we are here is because of you. And so know that we take that very, very seriously. And we root ourselves in our history, birthed out of the civil rights movement, continuing that long trajectory of advocating for equal access and opportunity for communities that we come from, right? Not just first generation communities that have been historically denied the opportunity to have access to higher education. Why? Because it's so necessary. Why? Because the world needs it. And I tell you what, we're gonna make it through. We're gonna make it through this moment, this pandemic. You're gonna make it through to your graduation and beyond, and just know that EOP is here for you. We always have been, and we always will be. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Erin, for those inspiring words and motivating words. If I could ask Brenda if we could go to the next slide. And I'll go ahead and introduce myself. Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Perez Ulloa. I'm one of your EOP counselors. Some of y'all might have met me in FSSP, as Ozzy and I ran the virtual satellite office for the first time this year for a freshman summer start program. I also work with Ozzy to work on alumni engagement, and then I am your Guardian Scholars liaison. So any of y'all Guardian Scholars out there, make sure you reach out to me and make an appointment through Shoreline now that you know how, right? We do want to remind y'all that it's getting crunch time to make sure you register to vote. The registration deadline in California is October 19th, which is right around the corner, right? And you can also, using the UC Civic Engagement links, check that you're registered to vote. So you can check where you registered to vote if you maybe can't remember from the last time, or update it if you've moved or have a new address. We actually just got our ballots yesterday. So we will be sending those in and dropping those off at the county elections office as soon as possible. Also, the census, today's the last day to make sure you are counted. It's an incredibly important part, not just of our civic engagement and our service, you know, to our communities, but it's important to be counted so we get those right number of seats for representation, right? So feel free to follow that civic engagement link, and you can check out what the UC has prepared for you there, and make sure you're registered to vote and get that ballot in, right? Let's go ahead and go into our last slide, which is just a recap of all our contact. Oh no, we clicked the link on accident. It's okay. And we just want to recap all our contact information so you all know how to reach us. Now, again, I want to recap that we're available through the links on our staff page on the website. You can click on our faces and you'll find the links right under there, and that directly takes you to Shoreline where you can schedule. But you can always call our office, and Joni and her administrative team are available to help y'all figure out, you know, who's the best person for you to see. You know, they might answer some quick questions or make sure they get you connected to the folks that can get you that support and questions answered, right? So all you've got to do is call that 805-893-4758 number. You can always email the general EOP email address, and that goes to Joni. And you can always email any of your counselors also. Know that we will be posting those events on, oh, did they extend the census deadline? Okay, sorry, there's been a lot of movement on that deadline. So thank you for at least for giving us that update. So also, we are on social media, and that handle is at UCSB EOP. So we will be hanging around for a few minutes in case you all have any questions you want to drop into the chat. Again, this is a great opportunity. You have the EOP staff here available to help you, but we are really thankful for you all to be joining us today and bearing with our little technical difficulties, but we made it through getting all the information that we need to get to you, right? So thank you so much for being with us this morning. I want to send a, you know, very heartfelt thank you to all our EOP staff, not just for being here today, but for all the work that you all do for our first-gen income eligible students. So thank you all, and yes, welcome to UCSB. And welcome to the Gaucho Club. As y'all might have noticed, many of the EOP staff are either alumni or, you know, allied alumni, I like to say, or UC alumni. So thank you very much all for being here. I don't know, Aaron, if you have any closing words?
No, just welcome and thank you. I was just kind of going through the chat. There were a couple folks who were like, "Ah, there's a little bit too much politics," and I would like to, and I've taken note of those who made those comments, and we'll reach out to you separately to talk further about that. It's hard not to be it's hard not to be
Yeah.
political in this politically charged enviorment. And we're not trying to force anything on y'all, but this campus has a long history of engagement. As a matter of fact, since you've given me open the door for me, Jessica. Some of you may not know this, but this campus has a strong history of voter registration and participation.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, in the years 2008 and 2012, Rock the Vote put on a nationwide competition of institutions in higher education to register the most people to vote. And both of those years, UCSB was #1 in the entire nation of registering people to vote. We worked in collaboration with folks, with the administration, with the campus community, with Hyla Vista, with housing to do that. And I understand and I appreciate that some of you may not necessarily think it's relevant or important, or may think that's a little bit too much to be, perhaps for us to be communicating via this medium. However, as engaged citizens of this campus community and this country, we nonetheless we encourage you to think about your participation, your constitutional right, for those of you who should, and for those of you, and particularly for those of us who cannot. And so it's very, very important, and we feel it, and we stand firmly behind it. And I'm sorry that maybe there's some who think otherwise, and that's totally acceptable. Everybody has their own decisions to make in terms of participating or choosing not to. But we encourage you to, because we recognize that without this kind of civic participation and engagement, EOP wouldn't be here, quite frankly. So we welcome you and we thank you. And nonetheless, it doesn't matter what you think about it, we still got your back.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I want to remind you all that EOP is a place, of inclusion, but that means going ahead and acknowledging everyone's identity, because we see you. We see you for who you are, and I definitely want to encourage y'all to express that. But we're also, as individuals, going to express that our existence is inherently political, especially in these times. And I say that personally, but definitely I want to encourage, conversations and dialogue. Know that as counselors, we're here to listen, and we're here to keep those conversations going, and to definitely keep those connections alive, right? But we do support civic engagement. I see lots of arrows pointing in the chat. I think I'm not, is that code for something? This is where I realize my age.
Jessica, I think it means that they agree with the comment above.
I
think, but I could be wrong.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good. All right. Reaffirming. There we go. There we go. Cool. All right, y'all. We still have 189 folks in the room, so like I said, us staff, we will stick around, and our peer mentors are here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and end the recording at this point, because we will be sending this out to all EOP, and maybe they don't want to hear us chatting.
Yeah, and if there are any questions,